Chapter 11.11 Party Ghosts and Invictus. More and more party ghosts arrived, floating in at first, and once their bodies had been returned, they began to eat and drink, dance and sing songs, and generally have the best time. Ghosts get a bad rap, said one old guy as he walked up to us. We're mostly as kind as angels, but for one reason or another, we've not quite made our way to the afterlife. Probably because we love parties, said another ghost, his hands full of party food. I've heard there's cake in heaven, I said, not wanting to brag about having been there. Probably is, said one of the ghosts, crumbs tumbling out of his mouth. Probably is, mate, but you have to admit this is pretty damned good. He winked at me and hurried off, clearly looking for more things to eat and drink. Suddenly Invictus was with us. Where'd you come from? Asked Minnow, looking a bit cross. Don't know, said Invictus. I think I was in some sort of time storm and then I landed here. Is it Miguel's birthday? Already? Yes, I said. You've been missing in action. Frank looked at me and then mumbled, Feel free to get back into the storm. Invictus looked a bit confused. I feel a bit ill, he said. Well, don't vomit on me, said Minnow firmly. Or me, said Sky, moving away from Invictus. And then Miguel and Blizzard were suddenly with us. Mate, said Blizzard, putting his arm around Invictus. Booyah! Shouted Miguel, leaning out of his wheelchair to give Invictus a high five. Angel appeared next to them, beaming at Invictus. So good to see you. Invictus said, I got lost. Actually, I feel a bit off colour. Blizzard waved his hands over Invictus, who suddenly stood tall and grinned at all of us. Much better, he said. Did I miss anything? I was gobsmacked. What was wrong with Angel? And why were Miguel and Blizzard being so pleased to see Invictus? Angel hugged Invictus. Shall we bring you back to your real life, she asked, and tell everyone your story? Invictus looked down. Please, he said with a loud groan. Angel, Blizzard, and Miguel showered Invictus with massive handfuls of wildly sparkling and incredibly magic, absolutely glorious, indestructible, never-ending, extraordinary dust of hope. Imagine dough, for short. As the dust swirled around Invictus, he grew taller and wider, and then he was holding a guitar. As the dust settled, we all gasped. How did you get here? I asked. Minnow squealed with delight. You were that horrible boy, she asked. You were so mean to me. Decker blushed. I do apologize, he said. When I was young, I was swept up into a terrible time storm that caused me to be ruined by the time virus. I was adopted by a corrupt family, and that's where I learned to be so cruel and nasty. Frank looked horrified. Are you really related to the thieves? He asked. Well, no, said Decker, but also, in a way, yes. How? Asked Sky, eyeing Decker with suspicion. When the time virus hit my family, my parents were killed. I was only a baby, so I was adopted by the thieves, said Decker. Well, actually, they bought me. A rather nasty aunt put an advertisement in the newspaper to get rid of me. The ad was under miscellaneous goods, and she offered me up for sale. She sold you? Asked Sky. That's awful. Decker nodded. Of course, with the time virus in full swing, the Overlord and the Baroness decided it might be fun to buy a baby. The filthy old overloaded and the nasty Baronastard, muttered Miguel. Frank and I laughed, but Miguel looked fierce, so we stopped. Decker shrugged. With the time virus doing all that it could to corrupt my life, of course they wanted to take me in, said Decker. It was kind of them in a way. No, said Miguel. They get no bonus points for buying you. They had ulterior motives. Decker nodded. They did want to corrupt me, he said, and they succeeded. But I was a willing student. That wasn't your fault, said Frank. Maybe, said Decker, but I turned out to be a very mean character under their influence. You all saw it, and I am so very sorry. Minnow hugged Decker. It was so not your fault, she said firmly. You can say that all you like, said Decker, but I might have resisted them a little bit, don't you think? How could you? Asked Skye, dropping all her suspicion. They were your parents for all you knew. Decker shrugged. I guess so, he said. Anyway, when I met this lot, they sent me back in time and undid the twist of fate caused by the attack of the time virus. The next time around, when I got to live my life all over again, Mum and Dad lived to a ripe old age, and I had two sisters as well. One of them is this rather marvellous being here. Decker pointed at Angel, who bowed low. Really? Asked Frank. Really, said Decker, giving Angel a hug. But how did the name Invictus become Decker? I asked. Ah, said Decker. My real name is Invictus Bandit. Did you know that the meaning of Invictus is unconquered in an ancient language called Latin? No, I said. Well, it is. And when I was in the mean phase of my life, I used to play a game called Conkers. Have you heard of it? I looked at Decker. Yes, I said. I saw a vision in the Noesis. A boy was playing Conkers. Was that you? Maybe, said Decker. But the boy I saw had brown hair, I added. Well, I didn't always have green hair, said Decker, and I did play a lot of conkers at Mudfolk. I was good at it. So in the end, I conquered everybody. But when I hit people's conkers to the ground, some of the boys said I decked them, and then I became known as the Decker. And then Decker seemed to stick. We all laughed. Decker! I'm so glad you're back, said Minnow, hugging him, and sorry for being mean to you too. I didn't like that version of you. Me neither, said Decker, beaming. When you were at Lowood, I said, was that after the time virus had been banished from your life? Oh, definitely, said Decker. I learned to play guitar from my dad when he lived a full and happy life. Luckily for me, the thieves didn't remember that they'd ever adopted me, although I felt pretty terrible having to be near them, but I wanted to stop them spreading their evil. So glad you did, said Minnow, linking her arm with Decker and grinning up at him.